All right, everyone. So I have my computer here today to show you exactly the process that your BCBA that you're working with or a teacher that you're working with might go through in order to pick out those skills, goals, and objectives that you're going to find within either the family's plan at home or within the IEP school plan that you're following through and implementing. Okay? So I'm going to start off with the VB map. The VB map is based on Skinner's recommendations for verbal behavior and his mapping of that. Verbal behavior is such a crucial part of what we teach every day and what we implement in our teaching procedures, because it's really the basics of all initial programming, right? Someone has to understand the directions that are being given to them, and they also have to be able to express and relay information to others so people understand them. So the VB map goes through a variety of areas. It looks at their ability to make requests. This is kind of a little snippet of what it looks like, but as we discussed earlier, the VB map only goes up to the age of 48 months. So it's particularly relevant for children who are within the birth to 3 or might be making that transition over to a preschool or kindergarten program, because it does have a transitions part of the assessment. But otherwise, it's leveled, it's sequenced. There's level 1, 0 to 18 months skills, 18 to 30, and then 30 to 48 month skills. So as you go through and you make the assessment, you're going to have columns that look something similar to this, okay? So you've got level 1, level 2, level 3, and then within each of these areas, we've got columns that designate different areas of development. So you can't see this because it's super tiny, but I'll have a copy of this online so you can peruse through and follow along. There's manding, tacting, listening abilities, their ability to match to sample, their ability to play, social interactions, reading, writing, listener responding, intraverbals, math, okay? And then it keeps going up from there. So the idea is that the more that you have shaded in here, the more progressed they are. Ideally, if you had an individual that was almost completely typical, then you would have all of these shaded in. But if you have one of our kiddos who needs our service, you'll probably see kind of chunks missing in and out of here. So then what we do after we assess this is we say, all right, we have some missing skills, or what we call splinter skills, here in maybe level 1 or 2, and barely any in level 3 filled out. So we need to go back and ensure that we target these specific skills so that they have a really sound foundation. Just like if you were building a house or a pyramid, the rest will crumble unless you have all of these filled in. So we pick out those skills, and then we create programs that you would find in a program book or in some sort of data collection format. We would put those in specifically to teach that skill so that they can further progress in other skills. So that's one way that our VB map is used. The other really effective and beneficial part of the VB map is using something what we call the barrier score form, okay? So it looks kind of like this. this does not go according to age, but instead, if you have, it has 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 is perceived as not really an issue. 4 is perceived as a huge barrier. So what types of things are really inhibiting our child from making progress in his everyday life, right? What things are obstacles for him? So is it something like his ability to make requests, effective man, his ability to identify objects in his surroundings, instructional control? That's a huge one, right? Instructional control is our ability, and we'll learn about this more when we go into DTI, but our child's ability to sit for a duration of time, listen to a speaker, attend to the materials, and follow directions. If they don't have those basic skills, we're not going to be able to teach them anything, right? So by figuring out exactly where their needs are and what barriers there are, we can put in some behavioral programming to help address those needs. All right, so that gives you a quick glimpse at the VB map. If you'd like more information, again, there'll be some documents online that you can peruse through. But now let's switch over to our ABLES. The ABLES stands for the Assessment of Basic Language and Learning, okay? This is a skills tracking system that, again, it can be used for a child with autism or any other developmental need. But the skills go much higher. We're kind of glimpsing through here. So this is a general layout. So again, kind of like our VB map, okay, you're going to have columns where all of the skills build on one another. So the most basic skills will be at the bottom, and then as a learner progresses developmentally, more complex skills will be layered on top. So we would again complete this developmental assessment, and if there were skills missing, you would see some of those cells not shaded in. Depending on their area of need, we would pick out these skills and we would say, oh, yep, we've got to put in this program and this program and this program. So, for example, I'm going to give you, so here's a grid for the ABLES. I'm going to give you a nice close-up here. So we're going to go to receptive language, or how about requests? Requests are easy, right? Or what we would call manding. So say, for example, we do this developmental assessment and they are missing F3, okay? And that's a pretty crucial area down here because it's one of the basic skill sets that they should have. F3. So then, me as the behavioralist, I would say, okay, I know I need to put in a program that's similar to F3 for my paraprofessional to execute, or BT. So then what I would do is I would go into the big disk of programs. I would go into F3. And it's going to pop up a program for me. Manding by words or signs. The objective: when teacher holds a preferred item out of reach and says, what do you want? Student will state the name of the item. Okay? So you can see why this is an integral program. If this child doesn't have the ability to request an item when he sees it, most likely you're having other behavioral problems where he's screaming or hitting or kicking or crying in order to gain access to items because he doesn't have a functional means to communicate. So we would put a program like this in place where literally we set up an opportunity for you to work on this throughout the day with your kids. And I'm sure many of you have come into contact with a program that's similar to this. Now, of course, you might modify it depending on the individual. If your individual is nonverbal, then doing a picture exchange or a sign might also be an appropriate form of requesting an item. All right? So I'm going to stop here And we will continue talking a little bit more about this when we get to our DTI implementation and program book management section. But at least this gives you a general overview of how we use some sort of standardized measure or best practice to assess our children's needs and then target certain skills and programs that we then put into program books that you see and get to use and implement with your children. All right? We'll see you soon.